5 Peas in a Pod by Andersen. There were 5 peas in a pod. They were green, and the pod was green, so they thought the whole world must be green, and quite rightly too. The pod grew and the peas grew, arranging themselves according to their dwelling. They sat all in a row. Outside the sun shone and warmed the pod, and the rain made it transparent. Inside it was damp and cosy, light in daytime and dark at night, just as it should be, and the peas kept on growing bigger, and as they sat there, they kept on thinking more and more, for after all, they had to do something. "Are you going to stay here forever?" each one of them said. "I'd hate to harden from so much sitting about. I almost believe that outside there's something too." The weeks went by. The peas were turning yellow, and the pod was turning yellow. "The whole world is turning yellow," they said. Suddenly they felt the pod jerk. It had been picked and then put into a coat pocket with many other full pods. "Now they will surely open us," said the peas, and waited. "I'd like to know which one of us will get the furthest," said the smallest pea. "We'll soon find out." "What must happen will happen," said the biggest. Snap! The pod burst open, and all the 5 peas rolled into the bright sunshine. They found themselves in a child's hand. A little boy held them and said they were exactly right for his gun, his toy gun. And straight away one pea was placed in the toy gun and was fired. "Now I'm flying into the big world. Catch me if you can." And it was gone. "And I," said the second pea, "I will fly straight to the sun, for that is quite a pea and will suit me fine." And it was gone. "We'll sleep wherever we get to," the others said, "but we'll end up somewhere." Firstly, they rolled to the ground before ending up in the gun, but they got there in the end. The little toy gun. "We'll get the furthest of all." "What must happen will happen," said the last pea, and then it was fired into the air and found itself flying towards an old board under a little garret room, straight into a crevice where there was moss and soft earth, and the moss closed round it. There it stayed hidden, but not forgotten by God, the Creator. "What must happen will happen," said he. In the little garret room lived a poor woman who spent her days cleaning stoves, sawing logs, and doing other heavy work, for she was very strong and diligent, but she remained poor all the same. In a tiny chamber of the house lay her half-grown only daughter. She was very delicate and frail, for she had spent the whole year in bed, and it seemed that she could not live nor die. "She will join her sister," the woman said. "I had 2 children, but it was hard for me to look after them both, so God decided to share them and took one to himself. I should like to keep the other one, the one I have left, but he doesn't want them to be separated, so she too will go above to her sister. But the sick maiden lived on. She lay patiently and quietly in her bed all day, whilst her mother went out to earn a little money. It was spring, and early one morning, just when the mother wanted to leave for her work, the sick maiden looked at the bottom window pane through the little window onto the floor. What is that bit of green peeping out of the window pane? It's moving in the wind. The mother went over to the window and opened it slightly. "Oh," she said, "why, it is a little pea with its green petals shooting out. How did it get into this crevice? Now you have a little garden and can watch it." And she pulled the bed of the poorly child nearer to the window, so the girl could see the growing pea more clearly. Then the mother went to work. "Mother, it seems to me I am getting better," the maiden said that evening. "The sun has shone on me so warmly today. The pea is growing so very nicely. I too want to grow and improve and get well in the sunshine." "If only this could happen," said the mother, but she never thought it could be so. Nevertheless, she made a little trellis for the small green herb, which had brought happiness to her child, so it would not break in the wind. She fastened the twine to the board and to the upper window frame, so the pea shoots would have something to cling to and to twist around as they grew, and grow they did. "Well, I never! It is in bud," the woman cried out one morning, and now she too was filled with hope and faith that her sick daughter would get well. Her mind recalled how much livelier the little girl's speech was of late, and how only the previous morning she had sat up in bed without any help, and gazed with shining eyes upon her very own little pea garden. A week later, the little patient got up for the very first time for more than an hour. Happily she sat in the warm sunshine. The window was open, and outside she could see the fully developed pale pink pea flower. The little girl bent her head and gently kissed its fragile leaves. It was a very special day. God Himself, the Creator, must have planted this little herb and made it grow, so it would give you hope and joy, my darling child, and me too," the mother said happily, smiling at the bloom as at God's angel. But now to the other peas. Yes, the one who was shot into the big well crying, "Catch me if you can," fell in a gutter and then ended in a pigeon's claw, where it lay like Jonah in the whale's stomach. The two lazy peas fared the same and got no further. They were gobbled up by the pigeons. And the fourth one that wished to fly to the sun, well, it fell in a drain and remained for days and weeks, swelling to quite a size. "I am growing so wonderfully fat," said the pea. "I may even go pop. I don't think any other pea could get any further, or have got any further." I am the most remarkable of all the 5Ps from our pod. And the drain showed its agreement with this. But under the garret window stood a young girl with shining eyes, the glow of good health on her cheeks, clasping her hands over the pea flower. She thanked God, the Creator, for such beauty and for her good health. Thank you for listening.